Welcome, everyone. We are excited to be able to get together, even if virtually, although we look to get together in person later this year in various places. Excited to see you all in person, hopefully then. Meanwhile, 2 years ago, Journal of Operations Management began what we call our mini conference. We managed to have one in person about a month and a half before the pandemic began. And we hope to do that again at some point in the future in person. But last year and this year, we have carried on this tradition as such of a mini conference in the form of a series of virtual sessions. And we'll say more about some of the other ones of those. But last year and this year, one of those sessions was what we called a business meeting and awards session. First part of that doesn't sound very exciting, but the second part hopefully will sound extra exciting and make up for it. But the so-called business meeting part that we'll do first, we'll try to make as exciting as possible and hopefully interesting to everyone who's part of our operations management, supply chain management research community, who are always curious about what's going on at JOM. So Suzanne and I are happy to be here and look forward to this time together.
So let me add my welcome to that of Tyson's. It's a pleasure to be together as a community. And even though we've missed being together, we've actually been pretty impressed by how well we've been able to connect virtually. And I see that Jack Meredith is here. And one of the things we'll be doing today is the Jack Meredith Best Paper Award. So great to see you here, Jack. So let's talk a bit about some of the things that happened in 2021. We published 8 issues and this had 32 regular papers. We had 3 technical notes. There were 4 forum articles, which are, you can think of as editorials by non-editors, and then 3 editorials from various members of the editorial team. And one of the areas where we took a deep dive was on lean manufacturing. So we started with a forum article that was written by Wally Hopp and Mark Spearman and there was a huge reaction to that. People had, we wanted to start a conversation. Check, mission accomplished. So this led to another forum article that was co-authored by quite many people from different viewpoints. Very, very rich material. In addition to this, then Tyson and I managed the POMS e-debate and during the POMS conference, and that was quite passionate, a lot of participation. One of the things that we discovered is it is now 4 decades since the Toyota production system hit the West, and we still are asking quite existential things. So this has shown us that there is work to be done to turn this into solid research, and we're continuing. We were very encouraged by the response. A good time was had by all, so you can expect more of that this year. Then we have 2 department editorials that are under development that are going to be coming out. 5 special issues that are coming up. We'll be reviewing those in a bit, or 5 special issues that where no more papers are being accepted, and then there are 5 more that have been announced and that are accepting papers.
I mentioned our JOM mini conference and the virtual events, and we should also mention some new department editors were added last year, and we'll get to those in a moment here. We, of course, had to only appear at virtual conferences, but we managed to find things to do on top of that, like webinars, panels, workshops online, and so on. And so we're always trying to make sure JOM's represented at the various places we come together. And another thing we try to do as editors especially, Suzanne and I are very interested in looking for ways to go back to our empirical foundation of the journal as the scientific method. Ultimately, how do we learn from observation? How can we expand the methods and the topics that are appropriate for JOM so that our field continues to be relevant in the broadest possible sense, and we increase the solution space for contributions? We'll be talking some more about these aspects as we go, but that's an ongoing thing, and we had several particular things last year in terms of forum pieces, editorials, and webinars along these lines.
Let's take a quick look at what's happening in terms of our departments. So the set of departments has not changed this round. Then, as we mentioned, there were 2 new department editors last year and then 2 this year. So in 2022, in the IOR department, David Peng has recently joined. And then in public policy, John Paul McDuffie will be taking over from John Gray this summer. And then in 2021, Sachin Modi and Elliot Bendoli both joined as department editors, and we want to take this chance to express our warmest welcome to all the new department editors and our gratitude to all the department editors who have really just been a fantastic team to work with.
We've got a number of special issues at various points in the pipeline, and out of those, we've got 4 that should be coming out later this year or early next. So they had deadlines a couple of years ago, and you know how long it can take sometimes to pull all the papers moving through those pipelines together. But we're excited to see these coming out in the coming months, and hope you will be sure to take a look at them. Some of the papers for these special issues are already available on Early View on JOM's website. We've got a few more that are in the pipeline, will probably be coming out early to late next year. The first of these likely to come out will be the COVID-19 one mentioned at the top here, which got a tremendous number of submissions. And then we're excited about others like the sharing economy and the age of digital transformation and large interorganizational projects coming out later next year. If you'd like to get a rough idea of last year, where did the submissions JOM received move on to in terms of departments or special issues, this will give you a rough idea. So these boxes are not sized proportionally or anything, but all of our department boxes have the same size here. So just to kind of orient you what's going on here, the big numbers are the number of submissions that Suzanne and I passed on to department editors in each of these departments, or to guest editors in the case of the special issue smaller rectangles. And then there's a superscript by the name of each department, which indicates the number of department editors in that department. Hopefully you'll notice a correlation where departments that get 70 submissions, like interorganizational relationships, have more department editors than those that do not. Of course, we can't control the number of submissions we get for any particular department exactly. But Suzanne and I do our best to try to level the workload among our department editors, and occasionally ask department editors to handle manuscripts that are not in their exact department's focus, because thankfully our department editors, most cases, have expertise that spans multiple ones of these departments. So that's also worth pointing out here that 50 manuscripts Suzanne and I sent to what we call pre-review methods checks, which is something we instituted several years ago, where we send manuscripts to our methods department simply to have the methods evaluated before it moves on to a regular review process in another department. Last year's submissions, from another point of view, you can see out of the over 750 we received, kind of how they flowed through our process in terms of how many did Suzanne and I immediately have to desk reject? It was a little over a quarter of the submissions, whereas about 3/4 of the submissions we sent on to department editors or guest editors, who of course manage the review process for individual manuscripts at JOM. Out of those, they kicked back a few immediately in terms of desk rejection. Sometimes Suzanne and I think there might be something there in a manuscript. We want to give it the benefit of the doubt. We'll send it on to a department or guest editor, but sometimes they'll say there's not really enough here for JOM for it to fare well in our review process. So out of the manuscripts they sent out for review, you can see that about a quarter overall of the submissions we got were rejected after the review process. And almost another quarter received what we call reject and resubmit, which is, again, we're trying to give authors some benefit of the doubt that maybe, hopefully, wishfully, they can address the review comments that were otherwise not positive for the specific manuscript, but still open to the area of research. And you see that now that we're a few months into 2022, that there are still manuscripts under consideration that were submitted last year, as we would expect. And out of those, you see that there's about 10% either with reviewers or with authors for revisions. We've already accepted 6 manuscripts that were submitted last year, and ultimately expect our acceptance rate to get up to the usual neighborhood of around 5 to 6%, as I'll show in a moment. Kind of comparing 2021 with the other past few years since Suzanne and I started as co-EICs, you see that our desk rejection rate, thankfully, has started to tick slightly downwards over time, which I view as a positive thing. Hopefully we get authors to submit more high quality manuscripts. We always say we want more submissions as long as they're good submissions. The good news here is that not only have we been getting more submissions, but a higher percentage of them have been worth sending out for review and so on. You see the rejection percentages, the reject and resubmit percentages, and the acceptance percentages. 2018, 2019, that 5 to 6% acceptance rate tends to be what has been typical. Ultimately, the acceptance rates for 2020 and 2021 look lower, but that's because there's still a number of manuscripts under consideration and revision. So we would expect those numbers to reach that neighborhood of normality there eventually. However, we always emphasize that we are not working to keep the acceptance rate below 10%. Some people view that as a positive attribute of a high-level journal. We would love to accept a higher percentage of the submissions. We have no quota or budget or limitation there. And so we are always looking to be developmental and constructive and try to help authors improve. And we hope that that percentage could increase accordingly. Something that I want to analyze, but haven't yet, is since we have started doing reject and resubmits, what percentage of those actually come back and what percentage of those actually succeed? I know for sure that a number do succeed, which has been a positive development.
So it's useful to take a look at turnaround time. So we have average turnaround time from Scholar One of 46 days, and that number is completely useless because the distribution is highly bimodal. So Tyson did a deep dive on several weeks of manuscripts that he was handling to get a snapshot. And it looks to us like my data is probably pretty similar. And what he learned was that for manuscripts that were sent out for review, the average turnaround time was 85 days. And 91% of those manuscripts had a decision within 120 days, which means that we are looking at almost 10% that take longer than 120 days, which is really not good for anybody. So we are really doing our best to figure out how we can reduce the probability of that extra couple of months, which is bad for all of us. Tyson was able to establish for the manuscripts that he analyzed that the turnaround time was not correlated with the decision, which is useful to know. One of the steps that we have taken is to ask department editors to start using a third reviewer, because one of the things that makes a manuscript, extremely late is that you have one reviewer who ends up, with health problems, or, something crazy happened. And then suddenly they're 3 months late, they're not answering emails, and we're stuck. We have no good options. We can start over again with a new reviewer. We can continue to send emails to somebody who is not answering emails, or we can give the authors inadequate feedback, none of these are good options. So if we have a third reviewer, then we can choose to go ahead, with, ask the AE to put, some extra analysis in, and, kind of come together to give the authors, the level of feedback that we're committed to giving. This also gives us a chance to try out some new reviewers, especially people who don't have very much reviewing experience. It does happen that we would have a brand new reviewer who doesn't have very much reviewing experience, but who does a really nice job on a review when one of the experienced reviewers is in a bad situation and is late. And so then we're able to take care of the authors, and it's win-win. So this is how we're thinking. So if you end up having a manuscript that is late, know that Tyson and I are looking at who is late, and eventually we have maybe 3 or 4 people who are extremely late, and we are writing very diplomatic emails to say, you have several people here, all of whom are just waiting for you. So is there anything you can do to make it happen? And let me take this moment to say, one of the things which happens is we'll have some people who are very good reviewers, very committed, who know that they're in a crazy situation, and they go ahead and accept the review. And then when they are, 26 days late, they're explaining, yes, I'm in this bad situation, but I didn't want to let you down. You're not letting us down if you say that you're not able to review. You're letting us down if you're keeping everybody waiting, if you're putting us in a situation where we can't take good care of authors. And we do have other people that we can ask. So, don't, fall on your sword to, take a review and then, put everybody in a difficult situation. If you're not sure about this, drop Tyson or me an email, or drop the department editor an email and say, I can do it, but I would need 5 extra days, and then we can say, well, actually, we could ask somebody else. Just to let you know, it isn't that, the machinery is going and sometimes people are a little bit late, and, it just happens that whenever it's late, it is on a list that we are looking at thinking, what do we do now? It is an exception for us. So we have some open special issues. The first one is on pre-approved research designs for field experiments. We're very excited about all of our special issues, but this one has a particular element of excitement because we're really trying something new. And the first glimpses are promising. So that's with Aravind Rogelio and Brad Stotz. Then Xingyu Yang, Christina Wong, and Rob Klassen have a deadline. Oh, and that one has a deadline at the end of this month. Have a special issue, operations management under the goal of carbon neutrality, that will be due at the end of next month. And then Sarah Bansal, Dan Guide, and Sergey Naumov have a special issue on closed loop supply chains with product remanufacturing challenges and opportunities, end of July. Then Steve Disney, Jan Holmstrom, Ben Lawson, Fritz Peel, and Chris Tang at the end of September have a special issue on uncertainty in operations and supply chain management. And then we have the operational excellence for utility special issue with Hank Ackermans, Wendy van der Valk, Finn Vinstra, and Luc van Wassenhoef. We recently had a webinar on this topic, and that recording is available. That's due at the end of November. So dealing with very exciting topics and contexts that we would like to get better explored. And then some recent news. We have continued with our mini conference. This is what we're doing today is the second of 3 virtual sessions. In February, we had a webinar on empirically grounded analytics with Morris Cohen, Hal Lee, Arne Hutschemeyer, Andy Tsai, and Ricardo Ernst. That was very well attended and really brought a lot of energy, established that we all agree this needs to happen. Today, we've got the business meeting and the annual awards. On the 20th of April, we have a webinar that is not going to be boring. So last year, in the context of the sharing economy webinar, it emerged pretty clearly that the theoretical importance of dispute resolution is high. And we had some initial concerns that there seemed to be big holes between company customer service, and then the next step is arbitration. What exactly is arbitration? How does it work? And we started exploring. Well, it has been kind of exciting. So what we have learned is that there is a 100-year battle over forced arbitration when it comes to consumer and also employment arbitration that is currently coming to a head. March 8th, there was a hearing of the U.S. Senate Committee on Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs to investigate mandatory arbitration in financial service products. There is one ongoing U.S. Supreme Court case on forced employment arbitration happening as we speak. As we looked at this and looked at all of the all that was going on, we did a very exploratory operations analysis and uncovered a tactic that's being used in consumer arbitrations as a get out of jail free card. And it turns out that because the arbitration community in this 100-year battle are not using systems thinking and process analysis, they didn't know it was there, and they didn't see how it was being used. So that the webinar is on breaking the cone of silence. And one of the things that it turns out is going to happen is that we will be, breaking the cone of silence in forced arbitration by using our tools. So I think a good time will be had by all. Then we will be having another call for special issue proposals with a deadline in June. You'll be hearing from us soon. We will be also making some updates to the associate editor and editorial review boards. Soon we are working with Wiley to get some new data. And as soon as we have that, then we'll be moving forward. Then Tyson and I are going to be, Tyson, we're going to be at conferences. Can you believe this? So we're going to be virtually at Palms. And then at least one of us will be at European DSI, Industry Studies. We'll both be at Euroma. Tyson will be at the Academy. We will both be at the ASCM annual conference. We are planning to both be at DSI, and then there are some other conferences. So for those of you who would actually like to see us, there's your information. Tyson mentioned that we have been investing in continuing to grow and invigorate our field. And by the way, let me take this moment to put in a plug for Tyson's article on operations writ large, which we end up sending in a lot of decision emails, that how do we define operations? So that's quite useful. So we have been discovering that a lot of papers that are interesting but are struggling to go forward would have a smoother road if they focused on warrant as opposed to proof, if they addressed replication as opposed to just kind of starting from scratch. This whole, as I mentioned, the whole area of empirically grounded analytics is something that we need to figure out. And we have also been exploring the empirically grounded research question space. That's a bit more introductory. Tyson and I will be doing PDW on that together with Rogelio and Arvind at the Academy. Please stay tuned, because I think that is going to help us take some challenging papers forward. We have been looking for interesting and impactful OM topics that make a difference. We've also encouraged forum articles. We've discovered that forum articles get read and cited. So that encourages us to do more of them. We have focused on reviews being developmental. That's easy to say. And we were saying that, several years ago when we started, but we have discovered that there are certain elements that make reviews more developmental and increase the probability that something good will actually come of this paper. One of the things that we've been doing that has been just great is when we have a paper that everybody finds interesting, but nobody quite knows what to do with it. We've got the SSRB now, and so we have been bringing in SSRB members to say, would you please read this and just help us think it through? And we've tried this now several times, and in every case we've gotten actionable feedback very quickly, very thoughtful, and so for the SSRB members who are here, great stuff. We're grateful.
Senior Strategic Review Board, for those who don't know. So, and
so Tyson, the SSRB is now approximately a year old.
Roughly, yes, and it consists of mainly former EICs and department editors and a few other senior scholars who don't do regular reviews per se, but will handle manuscripts, especially on a case-by-case basis, as Suzanne and I ask, and they're invaluable for their experience and perspective.
Well, we're really looking at interesting manuscripts thinking, you know what, it'd be nice if we could publish this. But right now, there is it's not making it through the review process. And so then we are not proud. We're going to beg, borrow, and steal any insights that will let us take these exciting papers and give them a future. So we focus a lot on incubation development with respect to researchers, reviewers, and we have also very much appreciated the community. We feel surrounded by community, even coming out of 2 years of pandemic. And we also have been appreciating the way community is being built with, say, the operations research side of questions. Then special issues have been a big source of energy. Sometimes when we look at the special issue proposals that come in, we think, I never would have thought of that, but that's why we're asking. Just to briefly summarize, for empirically grounded analytical modeling, we have an editorial that is in progress. We discussed the JOM mini conference. The contribution is not the model, because if somebody submits a paper and the contribution is the model, then it is going to go into that 27% that gets desk rejected because it does not fit. But we're using the model as a way of organizing empirical observation, show us the arguments, facilitate the of abduction, facilitate thought experiments. What would happen? What would the answer to this question be if we incorporated this nonlinearity? Suggest decision rules, test assumptions, and generally, Tyson and I go around telling people that science is learning from observation. And so how can we learn more from these observations? And sometimes that does require a model. Then the idea of, what if the contribution of the paper is not a generalization, but it is a research question? What if we take the 40 pages that make up a typical JOM manuscript and we dedicate it to really figuring out where research should be going? So create stepping stones for the leap from observation to generalization. It's just too big a gap. So we have been recommending Hambrick 2007, and we're discovering that one of the things that has to happen is to create space for the reporting of rich detail about interesting phenomena for which no theory yet exists. It's really interesting. You use the word case study and people go, yin. It's inductive. But there's something that goes beyond inductive use of a case study. So that, we go back and take a look at medicine or biology and you see case reports. So case reports are extremely weak evidence, but we're not going to make a knowledge claim. We're just going to say, that's interesting. That gives us a little bit of insight. If anybody can think of a better word than case report, and which, descriptive case reports to describe this phenomenon, drop us an email, please put Tyson in copy, because this is the kind of stuff we're talking about. And then, in medicine or biology, we ask the question, where is it worth investing in a clinical trial? So we have a clear, operations management equivalent. And so we will be doing this PDW in Seattle. It'll be a hybrid event.
All right, we are to the super exciting part now, where we get to give out some awards. We are excited to have what we call our annual 5K. It's not exercise, it's more an award to look back and look at who's doing a great job as a reviewer, as associate editor, and a couple of paper awards. One, of course, the best paper award, named in honor of Jack Meredith, who I see here on video. Welcome, Jack. Always good to have you. And what we call our ambassador paper award, which is a paper in JOM that's been highly cited outside of a core set of OSCM journals and gives us more cross-disciplinary visibility. I've seen several studies done that say, OM supply chain research cites a lot of marketing and management literature, but what about vice versa? It's much less in the other direction, but there are exceptions to that generalization. And so we're excited to highlight at least one of those each year. With that, let's go on to our first award.
So our first award is the JOM Reviewer Service Award. So our criteria and our process in 2022 have included initial screening based on 2021 data that looked at how many reviews, timeliness, and then when we had a short list, we also took a look at reviews for the quality, the insight, and is this person able to take a manuscript and pull it forward. This award comes with a $1,000 prize and promotion to associate editor. Just to take a moment to remember past winners. Last year, the winner was George Ball with honorable mentions for Jury and Mary Kay. In 2020, it was Guanyi Liu with honorable mentions George Ball, Ishik Biser, and Scott Duhadwe. 2019, Keith Skoronsky, an honorable mention Jeff Shockley. And then 2018, Guanji Shang, honorable mention Kunyu Eruglu, Jan Holmstrom, Veronica Villana, and Ting Ting Yang.
Always interesting to see how many of these names move on to be associate editors and department editors and guest editors and involved in many ways, which we of course appreciate.
Well, when we lure you in with the best reviewer, then you're stuck. So Tyson, the winner is.
Well, first, a couple honorable mentions that were close runners up for our best reviewer award for last year. First, Hussein Abdullah. I saw Hussein's name here among the list of participants in this call. So Hussein, congratulations and thank you for all of your good work. And also D. Fan, thank you very much for your good work. And to all of our reviewers, it's never an easy decision because Suzanne said we have a short list, and that short list is often double digits or 8 people or something like that. So there's a lot of people doing a lot of good work, even in the next tiers past that. Okay, who's our winner for this year's Best Service Award? Sriram Venkataraman. Congratulations. And we will be having Jamie get in touch with you about your prize. And again, thank you for your terrific work as a reviewer last year and other times as well. With that, we next move to our AE Service Award, or sometimes called Best AE Award for the year. And similar to the last several years, our criteria and process was like with the Best Reviewer Award. We look back at the data for the calendar year 2021. How many AE reports were completed? Were they on time? Were opportunities to do reports accepted? And once we get down to a short list again, we go in and start looking at the quality and insight of those reports. Specifically, were they developmental? Were they constructive? Were they helping to move manuscripts forward? And again, we have a $1,000 prize. As we look back at some of our recent winners, like we did earlier, it's again interesting as we see some of the names were the Best Reviewer Awards a year or two prior to their names appearing here as a Best AE. And then some of these have moved on to become department editors, and I expect others will in the future. So thanks again, and congratulations again to those who have won this award recently. All right, Suzanne, you ready to announce some honorable mention?
I am ready. So we have 2 honorable mentions, Bernie Quiroga and Sriram Tirtmalai. And so congratulations to both of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you much.
The winner is Guanyi Liu. So congratulations to Guanyi. And,
yes, congratulations.
And again, Jamie will be reaching out to you. And then the Ambassador Paper Award. The criteria has remained the same this year. We look at papers published between 2017 and 2021 that have the most journal citations outside of a list of 24 OSCM journals. Here is the list of OSCM journals, and so it is a citation which is not in one of these journals. And this also comes with a prize of $1,000. Then here we have the recent past winners. I won't read all of this, but please note that you have the DOI links for all of these papers.
And you'll have the slides posted on the JOM website before long as well. So you can follow these links there or look them up there directly on the JOM website.
So, Tyson.
Okay. Our winner for this year's Ambassador Award goes to James Adley, Margaret Malloy, for their paper Attention by Design, using attention checks to detect inattentive respondents and improve data quality. And as we were looking at the large number of non-operations and supply chain management citations that this paper received, it was very interesting to see how many other fields were using this paper: psychology, marketing. And as you can imagine, everyone would be interested in this question of inattentive respondents and how do we improve data quality. Congratulations, James and Margaret. And Jamie will be in contact with you. All right, we come to our Jack Meredith Best Paper Award. So unlike the Ambassador Paper Award, which has a 5-year window, the Best Paper Award is a single year, a paper published in 2021. Suzanne and I looked at the papers published last year, and we struggle to get it down to a list of around 5 or 6, which honestly, I don't think either one of us really looks forward to that too much, because there's so many good papers. We each kind of come with a list of several we like. We talk about it, we struggle, and getting it down to this 5 or 6 finalists is a challenge. And then we ask our department editors, of which there are currently 18 now, to vote on these papers. And that's what we use to pick a winner. And it's very interesting to note that all of our finalists got at least 1 vote from a department editor. So there was a winner, but there was no paper that didn't get at least some appreciation as the best paper from one of the department editors. So that's an interesting point as well. This prize is $2,000. And we can look back at some of our recent past winners of this award. Kind of dense slide. We did have a couple years where our department editors couldn't seem to break the tie. And Suzanne and I were thankfully able to find extra prize money and have co-winners. So with that, who are our finalists? You saw these in our announcement for this event, but here they are again alphabetically. I won't read everyone's names and paper titles, but I will bring them up here and let you do so. Get reacquainted with them. You can see the interesting research, well done research is occurring in JOM across a number of topics and areas. And that's especially exciting to me to see that diversity and expansion. We don't want to just publish papers about the same basic questions over and over. All right, so lots of interesting papers here, and we are going to announce the winner, and then we are going to ask the winner to give a couple of slide presentation after that. So Suzanne, you have the honor here. Are you ready?
Depends on how you define ready. Do we have a formal?
Okay, well, here we are.
Here we are. So the winner is introducing goods innovation, service innovation, or both, investigating the tension in managing innovation revenue streams for manufacturing and service firms, by Adrian Chu, Sriram Narayanan, Ravi Srinivasan, and Sumadeep Sarkar. And so congratulations to you, and also congratulations to all of the finalists. This was just a great set of papers. So we will be asking this author team to present their slides, but each of the author teams has made 2 slides available, and they've done a really great job. So we will be making those available together with the video of this session, so that you can take a look at, at all 6 of these papers.
Very good. So with that, let me transition over to the slide deck of our winners. And I will run those unless our winners would like to run them, which I am happy to let you do. So let me know. What would you like to do? Would you like me to put your slides up, or would you like to?
Sure, I can do it.
Okay, so in that case, welcome, Adrian, and Suzanne. You need to allow Adrian permission to share.
It is coming up.
Let's see if I can do it.
Done.
Okay, let's see. So I'm just going to present because as what Suzanne and Tyson, I mean, it's a great honor. I mean, there's so many good papers in the finalists, so it's a humbling. It's honor. It's also humbling for me and the other teams. So let me just share my screen. So I see Ravi is here. I'm not sure whether Sriram and Somadip is here or not. Now, basically, what we did in this particular paper over here is we are just looking at one very simple question. So the main problem is that there's a lot of companies that is launching new services and new products, which is we consider service as intangible and goods and tangible goods. So another way to think about this problem is servitization and productization. And surprisingly, I mean, there's very little kind of like comparison between, even though there's a lot being talked about it, but there's very little comparison between these 2 different groups of companies, actually, manufacturing and services. And we just want to compare them. Just very simple kind of problem, So the question that we look at is that if a company, whether it is a manufacturing company or a service company, focus on just one, whether it is manufacturing, launching new services, service company, venturing to new goods, which approach is better? And then the second question that we look at is if they do both, because if you look into the literature, there's a lot of mixed findings about servitization and productization. We wonder is it because there's a tension between this, both approaches? So we want to see whether there is actually a tension in doing, if companies do both. Now, suppose if they do both, and there is a tension, there's a substitutive effect. Our question is that why is it that people are still doing it? Because if there's a tension, that means it's not really good to do both. But so the third question that we look at is that is it possible that they are still getting higher performance? So those are the three questions that we look at. So what we did in the paper is to look into and the thing that we are thinking is that can we get some kind of large scale kind of data? So we managed to get this large scale data manufacturing service firm from Europe, 11 different countries, and we got a set of findings. And thanks to Suzanne, and she was really encouraging through our review process, and of course our dear department editor Anna Mistra, and we were kind of like we found a set of interesting results, and we thought, hey, can we get a replication on this one? And we managed to get another set of data from a different time period, 9 different countries. We use a lot of different methods to test it. Simple question, but we just want to make sure that whatever that we did in the paper is not just in one set of data, but also replicated in another set of data. And also, we just want to check different kind of models to make sure that it is consistent. And so what we found is that there isn't any kind of difference between these 2 different modes of, same and different domain, new product introductions. And of course, I'm just giving you a very brief overview over here. And we found that, also we found that there is actually a substitutive effect. I'm sorry. But the firms that are actually doing both are also achieving higher performance than those people who are focusing on one. So that's basically what we did in this very straightforward and simple paper. And again, it's an honor to be here, and really thank JOM for this this award. Thank you.
You're very welcome, and congratulations again. And again, congratulations to all 6 finalists, because they all produced a couple of slides not knowing if they would be the winner. And all of them have done a terrific job. And so we're looking forward to sharing all of these finalists' slides with you as well. That is it for our official business meeting and awards session. It moved fairly quickly, and I hope efficiently as well as effectively. We're delighted that you're here. We will make this recording available on the JOM website. And as we do with all of our webinars and conference sessions, we hope you will check them out there. We're building up a bit of a library. We're looking for ways to make YouTube channel and other types of ways that these can be accessed, not just to our JOM community, but to ASCM community and other constituencies, as well as anyone who happens to want to look for it and search for it. Any final closing words, Suzanne?
Just saying what a pleasure it is to all be together. Thank you all for taking the time to be together with us for this annual celebration, and looking forward to seeing you in person. And if the things that we have covered here give you ideas, please send Tyson and me an email. We're very interested in your feedback. So have a
very
good
much
rest of the day wherever you are.
Thanks so much, everyone.
Thanks.
Happy weekend.